Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. This conversation is about what we call the collective advantage and how it is that you can really build an ecosystem of women who win together across different industries, across different realms, across different expertises, if that's a word.
Yeah.
For a really long time, leadership used to be framed as like a solo pursuit, like climbing ladders and guarding seats and at a table and competing for limited space. But today's most powerful women actually are leaders that are rewriting that narrative. So, this conversation is centered on a new leadership currency called collaboration. So women are also building ecosystems instead of silos and co-creating brands and forming strategic alliances and really expanding opportunities through shared vision and mutual support. So leaders like our guest here, Kanisha, understand that when women win together, impact multiplies and visibility expands and access increases. And most importantly, legacy deepens. So today we're going to talk about how we can fuel collaboration in ways that are not just about connection, but also about growth and profitability and even influence. So welcome, Kanisha.
Thank you, Kai. I am super excited to be here today and to have this conversation. It's a evergreen conversation, right? Because leadership happens all the time, whether we're intentional about it or not, which is where the good leadership often happens versus the bad. And it impacts everything that we do. And so being intentional about how we're doing it, who we're doing it with, and what it looks like, and continuing to have those conversations, super important. So I'm excited to be here today.
Awesome. Thank you. And right off the bat, I just a light bulb went off. Like, oh my gosh, there's bad leadership out there. How do you identify what that looks like? Because I think that a lot of people, including myself, may have thought, like, okay, they're taking the lead, and that's just good in itself, and not really taking a moment to analyze or to even just go a little bit deeper beneath the surface of what's actually going on. So, how do you personally identify bad leadership?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's really my area of expertise. It's what I do. I teach unprepared, unknowing, usually bad leaders how to become high impact changers. And that is important because so many people step into a leadership role or a space where they're thrust into the leadership position, voluntarily or not, and they don't know exactly what that looks like. Let me just preface it by saying leadership, first of all, it's a broad spectrum of how you can lead. But to your question and to your point, there is good leadership and there is bad and there's bad leadership. And so how I define bad leadership is first and foremost is the influence that's being given causing more negative results than positive results.
Mm.
And I will say, everybody has feelings. We all have feelings. So what I may perceive as negative, you may not perceive as negative. But if I more often walk away from a conversation with you, an interaction with you, a meeting with you, and I feel less than, I feel uninspired, I feel unempowered, I feel controlled, I feel manipulated, I feel as though what I'm contributing is not good enough, then I'm experiencing bad leadership. And often, most people don't wake up, Kai, and say, I want to be a horrible leader today. Like, I don't want to be good. Most people don't say that. Most people want to provide great influence. They want to have interactions with individuals, and those individuals then go on to be more joyful, be more confident. Because, as leaders, we do, maybe not all of you all, but I do. I do take a bit of pride to say, oh, I had a positive impact in that person's life, whatever it may be, the result that they're doing, the accomplishment that they have, a change in how they see themselves, their confidence. And if I've had that good influence, then I feel good about myself. So we both want to leave the interaction in the relationship with a positive. So when it's not positive consistently, it's a very easy way to spot bad leadership.
Got it. Got it. We've got a yes from AJ. Thank you, AJ, for being
Yeah.
here. Um, so now that you've kind of like given us a definition to stand on, right? Like how much then does the leader actually become responsible for? You're talking about how like other people were feeling, if they felt that they
Mhm.
weren't good enough in that leader's presence. Like, is that actually the leader's responsibility? Like, where do you start to draw the line without doing things like people pleasing or micromanaging and stuff like that?
Oh, you asked the good questions, Kai. This is why you're good at what you do. Yeah. So it can be tricky, but it's actually really simple.
Hmm.
I look at it from a couple of standpoints. First and foremost, as a person. So every person who is a leader in whatever capacity is a person first. And we all have to have, either we intentionally or we don't, but we do all have to have a standard. We have
Hmm.
a level of integrity. We have a way that we operate. We have beliefs and values that govern what we will tolerate, what we won't tolerate, what's okay with us, what's not okay, how we're willing to be treated, what our expectation is of treating others. And so when we know that and we operate from it, or even if we don't know it, we're still operating from it. Being consistent in that is how you measure, okay, am
Hmm.
I moving into people pleasing? Am I moving into being horrible to people? Like I said, most people don't want to be horrible managers. So
Right.
typically, or leaders, right? So typically that's not the direction. But you have a standard where you say, this is what I will tolerate. And then from that standard, and not only tolerate, I should say also expect. From that standard, then the next step, the second step is making sure that there's clear communication
Hmm.
about your standards, your expectations, and that you are consistent with them. You can't be a great leader and be inconsistent. So you can't one day say, I have every expectation that we operate with full integrity in everything we do. And then the next day in a conversation with someone say, well, if we just act like we didn't know that, how can we move forward? That doesn't fly, right? And so we have to we have to maintain our standard, because then people know how to treat and react to us. And that's where you can get to the point where, as you mentioned, okay, if I'm thinking about people pleasing, if I'm not necessarily responsible for how people feel, but yet I am responsible for what the result is. So there is that ownership and accountability that goes with it. So if I know that we're operating from a base of integrity, regardless, and you want to maybe shade some things, if you feel mad at me about the fact that I'm going to hold your feet to the fire because this is the standard, then I
Hmm.
can't be responsible for how you feel. Right. But
Mm.
if you know the standard, you are upset about the standard, then we need to have a conversation about, is this a great fit? Is our working together a good fit? Right. And then it goes into different ways of how do we collaborate, how do we connect, how do we compromise, that type of thing. And so it is a two-part system. First and foremost, you've got to operate from your true standards consistently. That
Mm.
is part of good leadership. And then second, enforcing that and enforcing seems like a hard word, but just again, being consistent with your people to know that if you're being consistent, then when their reactions are different, is it
Mhm.
based on you changing or is it based on them? And then
Oh.
also being cognizant of their standards as well, right? Because leadership is about your impact and your influence on others. And so knowing their standards and then tempering yours as you need to. You're never going to change your standards, but you can communicate them differently. You can introduce them differently. You can have a conversation about how they meld together. But that's how you stay away from the people pleasing, stay authentic in your leadership, and then clear expectations for everybody, Kai, makes everything. Just says.
Good
I've found that
point.
in life. Maybe you found something different, but that's what I've found.
Agreed, agreed. And thank you for saying it, right? Sometimes we think that that's implied, which is the point, right?
Correct.
Got it. Got it. And I'm taking in what you said because there's so much gold in the things that you're sharing. I'm like, ooh, what about that? Ooh, what about that? Ooh, what about that? And one of those points was that you're talking about leadership, but then you also use the word manager in there. And I was
Mm.
like, interesting. Are managers leaders? Like, are they synonymous terms, or like how does that kind of play out for you in the landscape?
Yeah, it's such a great question, which is why it's the area that I have dedicated my work to. So, short answer, yes, managers are leaders, because you can have somebody who's not in a quote unquote managerial role or even managing a project, and they're still leading, because we go back to the basic definition, it's the influence, right? Leadership is influence. However, there's a distinction between a leader and a manager, in that managers are task oriented. Managers are, their thought process, knowingly or unknowingly, is how do I get things done?
Mm.
And they tend to move in that direction, plan in that direction, speak in that direction, interact in that direction. A
Mm.
leader, separated from that title, is someone who empowers individuals to get done. So I don't have to do everything. I
Mm.
actually don't do anything except support those who I am helping to get done what they need to get done. And it is a huge distinction, because it's almost like a graduation, Kai. You step into managing something, whether you're in corporate, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are leading the church local picnic for the summer, whatever you're managing, right? You have tasks that need to get done, and you have people that are helping you, that you have been given the privilege to say, I'm the go-to person to make assignments and to make sure that we're on task, and that type of thing that you check in with. That's managing. You graduate to leadership when you impart to people, I trust
Mm.
you to do this. This is how we're going to do it. If there's teaching that needs to be done, these are the ideas that I have. What are your ideas? All right, I'm going to impart and empower you to go do, and you come back to me if you have questions. I am, as a great leader, though, I'm going to check in with you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to provide suggestions for you. I'm going to have conversations with you that are not necessarily about the thing that we need to get done, because you're a person, not a
Mm.
task or a checklist.
Huh.
And that mentality is the basis point of separation of leaders versus managers. And leaders are visionaries. Everybody doesn't start that way, and everybody has a different level of that. But a leader is looking at not only is the immediate return that needs to get done, and the accomplishment and the result we want to get and the achievement, but also how does this propel the next person to their next thing, as we were talking about, as this whole series is about, right? Collaboration. As leaders are looking to say, this group of women that I've had the privilege of being with, we've been able to grow in this area, or support each other in this area, or expand in this area, either individually or collectively. Now, who do I introduce them to next? Who do I take that? Where do we go? What's the next project we can do? What's the next outlet that we can provide for one another, that we can continue this exposure? That's leadership. It is the visionary forward movement, whereas managers are in the moment, task oriented.
Okay, got it. Like when you even just started saying those words, like with the proactive questions, I was like, oh, that gets me so excited to communicate that way. And then you're like, well, that's what a leader does. And I was like, that makes sense. Speaking of,
Exactly.
yeah, and speaking of leaders, there's a leader of leaders right there. It's Vicky Abadesco. Thank you so much for being here. And hello to Alexandria. Thank you for being here as well. Um, Question is that when you were talking about, actually, you know what? Let me ask this a different way, because we want to talk about collaboration now, right?
Mhm,
There's this
mhm,
guy that I listen to on YouTube. His name is Myron Golden, and he talks
mhm,
about like four different values. He says that at the bottom, um, hello, Damien. Damien knows this guy, Myron Golden. At the bottom, he's like, there's kind of like levels to values, right? That people respond to when they're in leadership. And he's like, at the very bottom is implementation. He's like, right
mhm,
above that is communication, and above that is unification, and then above that is imagination. And I was like, just reflecting over here, thinking about unification, right, which
mhm,
is ultimately, someone, and I'm still, sorting it out over here if it's manager or leader, but there's someone who like unifies the team and brings
yeah.
people together for a shared cause. So based on that definition and that kind of like value system, is that person who does the unifying, is that a manager or a leader or both?
It can be both, depending on the skill set, but I would say it's more of a leader, and this is why. Because Kai leaders, when we get to those high levels of leadership, so sort of like as Myron talks about, you've got levels to things. As you grow as a leader, humility and the knowledge that you don't have to be everything to everyone
Mm,
grows, right? And so leaders are the ones who will, if they're really good, they'll not only invite that unification by inviting people to share their thoughts, to share their ideas, to take those ideas and run with them. They will
mhm,
be able to facilitate it so that there are leaders within the group who are then cultivating those conversations,
mm,
creating the unity. And I'll give you a great example. So, probably when I worked at a previous hospitality company,
mhm,
I probably learned some of the best leadership lessons that I did there. And one of them was knowing my weakness and knowing the power of where I was weak in helping my team. And what I mean is, I am not the praise person. It sounds bad. I know, but I'm aware of this flaw. Meaning, when you're assigned to do work, I think you should just do the work. And if you do it good, great job. But there's no need to praise for you because that was the expectation. But everybody's not like me. And so I know that as a leader. And so I have to say, okay, for those who love to be praised, and that's most people, right? Like even I enjoy getting it. It just doesn't come naturally to me to give it. I said, I need to figure out who is the person who loves to get praise and loves to praise people. And then
mm,
how do I empower them to make that a culture on my team? I don't have to be the one to do it. It doesn't matter that I'm the manager or the leader. I don't have to be the one to do it. But in order to unify, the best way I can do that is I can identify the person who that is their strength. And then I can say to them, I'm giving you free reign to figure out a program, a process, a calendar for how we consistently create a culture of praise. And so now the unity has happened because I have I have invited somebody else in to do what is beneficial and we'll unify our team, but they're doing it
yeah.
on their own terms. All they need from me is a budget if you need it. If you need some money, I got you. And just don't do anything that's violating any of our company policies, right? Like we're not buying cars for people. That's it. But the unity comes in a leader saying, I don't have to be the catalyst, I don't have to be the center for everything. And I have the ability to identify and promote others to take on roles that will unify the team. Because now, not only are people they're involved, but others are seeing, oh, okay, so this individual, and so the woman who I gave this assignment to, her name was Jamie, and she's amazing. She is amazing. But they would see Jamie doing this particular thing for our team, and now they have ideas and they have suggestions about other things that we can do for the culture. and they're willing to take it on because they see that Jamie had been gifted with that empowerment to do that as well. And so it's no longer a bottleneck of one person making all the decisions. We now have people unified, coming together to make the team what the team can be at its best. And that's when you've got everybody contributing and everybody working together, and everybody feels comfortable and confident to do that. And they know that they'll be supported.
Yeah.
That's what creates unity.
Got it. Got it. Thank you for making it clear. And hi, Melanie. Thank you so much for being here. Because like at some point, sometimes it gets to be a bit novel. Like people start throwing that word out, team. And, maybe if I just substitute the word I for we every once in a while, then everybody will, like get it. Like it's bananas, the superficial things that take place and that some people are substituting for actual leadership. So I greatly appreciate you going deep and, really defining these things so that we can understand too the distinction.
Yeah.
Now I'd love to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind.
Okay. We'll see. We'll see if I mind. No.
Okay, fair. All about consent here.
Thank you.
And the question is, what has collaboration done for you in terms of increasing your own visibility and access and maybe even revenue? Does it work for you in that way?
You're a great example of this, Kai, because we met because of your expertise in the PR world. And you were so gracious enough to be a guest on my podcast, dropped so many gems of good information for the audience. Thank you. Right? And it was a panel discussion, and the fact that we connected because you have a skill set and you have a gift, and you have just a natural gift for public relations. The more I get to interact with you and we spend time together, I see you just have a beautiful gift for it's like a soft touch with people, and I pay attention to it because I don't have it. So when you see stuff in people, you're like, oh, that's something I need to develop. You're good at that. But because of that connection and our collaboration on my podcast, then I had the opportunity to be introduced to your PR community, which is where you give us amazing opportunities to, for example, be on stages here like today, be on other people's stages. You provide connection. You also provide training. So that's leveling me up because PR is not my world. And so now I have a new connection with someone who's teaching me some things and helping me to grow my business. And then now I get the opportunity to sit on your stage, right? And so this provides me with an additional audience who I get to talk to you guys and share a little bit about leadership versus management and my jam there, and helping those individuals who are just not great managers yet because they're new. They don't know how to become high impact change makers. And so this is a great example of the power of collaborating and then how it grows. I'll give you one more because I thank God for my podcast. It is truly connecting me with some amazing people. There is one of the things that I'm working to move into is, in addition to helping first-time managers become leaders, really, as we've defined the separation. I also want to move into speaking on stages and take this to a wider audience. And there's a woman, her name is Ashley. I'm forgetting her last name. That's so bad. But her company is called Speak Your Way to Cash. And I have been following Kirkwood. Thank you. Excellent. Yes. Thank you. I've been following her for a while. And then she had this conference and I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to go to the conference. And one of my podcast guests is one of her mastermind students. And she sent me a message and said, hey, do you want to be my guest at the conference? Yes, I would love to be your guest at the conference. And so I have been able to now plug into that community as well, just because of the collaboration with another fellow podcast guest who was on the show. And that is helping me to start to set the stage where I'm reaching out to stages and offering my voice to be a voice for how do you create that foundational level of leadership for new managers so that the companies are more profitable, the managers actually stay employed, and the employees are engaged. And so, yes, I've been a very, very much benefited from collaborations such as you and I and others. And it's so powerful. I think we don't do a good enough job seeking them out. And it can be hard, right? This is easy for me because I have a podcast. So I get to meet people all the time, right? But I will ask you, Kai, you're a little different. How do you foster collaboration?
Interesting. I love how the tables just got turned here. We're passing the mic, everybody.
Just curious. Yeah.
Collaboration, thank you, it's like at the heart of the things that I do. Like it's fun to like do stuff. It's like, oh yeah, look, I made this, right? But when you get to do things together, it's just a whole different universe, right? Being on your platform showed me that. And it was really cool, that particular episode, because you had 3 of us that were pros in PR. And we had the opportunity to connect and network amongst each other. And I was like, this is really cool, because what it is that you're promoting, whether it's intentional, maybe, or unintentionally realized, is that we don't have to compete. And I was like, that is just so cool, to be in the room with other PR pros and we're not like at each other's throats, right?
Right. Yeah.
There's enough room at the table. There's enough room in the industry for all of us to share what it is that we're up to and feel okay and be at peace. So I like that flavor, and thank you so much for cultivating that in that conversation. And it's like, why not continue, in that same kind of context? So that's something that that collaboration has contributed to my life,
Yeah. Okay, I do have a follow-up question.
Okay.
How do you intentionally create those collaborations? What's your process for identifying and then asking for or stepping into those collaborations?
Got it. Thank you again. And very similar to what you said earlier, is that we're human beings. Sometimes, the title gets in the way, or accomplishments and success get in the way, or how much money is made and how much the person has gets in the way of just having a conversation. Some of my amazing mentors are my mentors because they just picked up the phone and called me. Or I just picked up the phone and called them, and we ended up having a conversation, as opposed to me trying to be all formal and creating this, like letter that, colors me in a certain way. It was just human to human connection. And organic connection does what organic connection does. It creates itself. There's no effort or trying that has to happen. So in terms of cultivating, I like the word attract, or magnetize, or whatever, but it's a verb, but it's actually the opposite of doing.
That's interesting. Okay. I like that though.
Yeah, the way that we get to continue our relationship, Kanisha, is that it's the next natural step. Like there's no like forcing or, this or that. It's just conversation and allowing things to happen as they do. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So good. We're just humans. I think if we remember that each one of us put our pants on one leg at a time, or our shirt on one leg at a time, that will take a lot of that away. So that's totally a good gem.
Right. And pick up the phone.
True.
These fancy texts and emojis and gifts, like, let's have a conversation.
There you go. Absolutely. Old school works.
Yes, it does. So Kanisha, as we wrap up here, if you wouldn't mind just letting us know maybe a piece of advice that you could give women who want to move from, maybe working alone or in their silo, to building powerful networks but don't really know where to start, what would you tell them? And can you let everybody know where to find you online and in the world?
Absolutely. One, before we even wrap up, I just want to say thank you again for this time and this conversation, Kai. It's just always fun being in your space. For the women who want to move into collaboration space, if you are saying it's still the beginning of the year, I know we're in February, but we still have 11 almost full months to go. So lots of time to get done what you want to get done this year. And if you want to be intentional about collaborating more, connecting more, first get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I know you've heard that, but it's so easy, especially in our day and age, to stay at the house. It's so easy to just hop on a Zoom that's convenient. It's so easy to, like Kai said, send a text message. Get out of the house. Get out of the house not only for networking events, but get out of the house for just events that you enjoy, and make a goal to meet one new person while you're out. And if you want to collaborate with women, meet a new woman. Ask, as Kai said, the natural next question. Hi, how are you? What do you do? Or you see something connects you. You're standing in the line. You're both buying eggplant for the day. What are you cooking with eggplant? Be intentional about making connections, because the more people we connect with, the more you will find you have in common with people. And then those commonalities will start to reveal potential collaborations that you may never have thought about, never have known could happen if you didn't start a conversation. But conversations in person are powerful. So get comfortable being uncomfortable and make a plan, at the least, I would say, very, very, very least, that you're out of your house at some kind of event where you can connect with other people who have like interest, similar mindsets, at least once a month, at the very least. My recommendation would be twice a month, but at least once a month, because you'll start to see even momentum from that. And it will also, the most important thing, it will give you confidence that you also have something to offer, because as you have conversations with these women, they're going to be interested in you. They're going to want to know, what do you do? How can they help you? How might you be able to help them? So your value is going to rise in your own eyes. Should already be amazing, but we all have our quirks. And so this is just a reminder that get comfortable being uncomfortable, to make a plan that a commitment that at least once a month you will get out, meet people in your like interest area. And it can be free. There's plenty of free places to meet them, because you never know where a conversation is going to lead and what next collaboration may unfold from that initial conversation and connect. And then how can people find me? Okay. So one, LinkedIn is where I live. That's where I respond. That's where I talk. I may play on the other platforms, but if you want to touch base with me, my LinkedIn profile is in the notes there. And so, or underneath my name. So definitely there. Why you would reach out to me would be one of three reasons. One, you are a business owner, you are building your business, and you have a story to share and strategies to talk about that we can talk about on my podcast to help other entrepreneurs build their business better, which is the name of the podcast, build your business, build a better business. Two, if you are new as a manager, this is your first time leading people, and you want to know, how do I become a good leader? How do I go from hesitant and confused and frustrated with my team in this position to on fire, making a high impact and making change? Then I am your person to help you walk through that. And I do that with individuals as well as corporations. And then Kai, I am starting a new venture.
Hey.
This is just off the books, and I'm moving into the financial space and starting a bookkeeping business. And so very excited about that. And so you can find all that information on all my social channels, but that's how you find me.
That's incredible, Kanisha. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
I have a finance degree, and I was like, okay, we should start using this. So,
Maybe,
a little bit. Yep. But I'm delighted to connect. And thank you again for this time today.
Likewise, thank you for yours and sharing, imparting, as you said earlier, your wisdom with everyone who's listening. Shout out to Gina Ziola. I see you in there. You're old school too, because you know how to connect on the phone, in real life, with people. Thank you, everyone, for being here and for contributing to the conversation. As we close, I'm realizing that the truth is really becoming clear that the future of leadership is not isolated. It is definitely interconnected. And the women shaping tomorrow really understand that collaboration is not a soft skill, it's actually a strategic advantage. So, by choosing partnership over competition and community over scarcity, we're building ecosystems that sustain growth, really amplify voices, and also create lasting impact. So, I hope that today's conversation inspires
Mhm.
you to really look beyond just like what's in your realm, what's in your box, what's in your space, and kind of lean, a little bit into the discomfort, as Kanisha was saying, so that way you can really be in alignment. You can be intentional and build relationships that expand you, and not just your success, but I mean like the success of others too. So when we collaborate with purpose, we get to see what happens on the other side. And we really get to redefine what's possible. So thank you all so, so much for being here, for participating. And Kanisha, much appreciated for your presence.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.